is how many leads you're getting per month. So you want to be able to track the number of leads that you're getting per month. If you can't track that, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to understand if you're growing, where your leads are coming from, and all that. So you want some sort of mechanism, whether you're doing it on a piece of paper or you have other things in place, but you need to be able to track the number of leads that you get and understand where they're coming from. So that would be one of the things that I would definitely encourage you to ask yourself and to make sure that you're putting in place. The second thing is, do you have a system to manage those leads? So a lot of businesses fall short that when they're really excited about getting the leads, the leads come in, they're like, oh, I got my first lead, or maybe they're on their 100th lead, but they get really excited about that lead coming in, but they don't actually have a clear-cut plan of what to do and how to manage that lead. So you should ask yourself, okay, when a lead comes in, what is the process? What happens? What are the time frames in between different levels of communication, the things that you have to do, the things that you may be requesting of a client to do? What are the time frames? What are the steps? And make sure that that's clearly laid out. Because if you don't, it's going to be very difficult to go through the process and figure out where your strengths and weaknesses are in your process. So understanding that whole process right from start to finish, when a lead comes in, to how you're communicating, the timeframes in between, the type of communication you're sending is key. So ask yourself, do I actually have a system written down where I know what is happening with the lead, and what is my expectation of how that lead is supposed to be managed? The other thing that a lot of businesses fail on is when a lead falls off. Like, how likely are you to follow up with a lead that falls off? And what I mean by that is, maybe someone contacts you, they don't reply right away, or maybe they say they're not interested right now. What is the likelihood that you're going to actually market to them again? And so, in my opinion, you need some sort of system in place to keep at those leads. So, I always tell all of our clients, when someone comes to your website or they're going to your social media channels or whatever, you in essence have paid for that person to come. So you've paid for them to come in some sort of form, and you've paid for them to, see your marketing, see your website, any of that. So you've paid for them to come. So, and at the bare essence, you want to be able to market to them. So you need to capture their information somehow. So in that same line of thinking, there's also that aspect of, if a client maybe doesn't is not interested right now, they still may be interested down the road. So even though a lead is dead in your opinion right at the moment, it doesn't mean that it's dead forever. So you should ask yourself, okay, all my leads that have, I've maybe have lost, or they're not interested right now, they're not getting back to me, what is my process for managing those leads? Because just because they're not interested right now doesn't mean they won't be interested in the future. So maybe you have a system in place to follow up with those leads down the road. So ask yourself, with all the leads that I get in, even if I lose them, what is my process for managing those leads? So some of the mistakes that we see that hinder business growth are, there's no clear-cut path or sales funnel for marketing. So when the lead comes in, what is that path that I was talking about? What is actually happening with that lead? How does it get transition from marketing to sales, and what's the handoff process there? And how do you know that that's in place, right? Even if you're growing and you're the only one that's doing that, you want to make sure you have a good plan in place. Sometimes there's no goals in place for tracking the number of leads. So you're never going to be able to grow it if you don't have a plan to grow it, and you don't have an expectation of what you want to see in that growth. So you need to be able to, clearly articulate, maybe I'm getting one lead now, and next month I want to jump that up to 2 leads or 5 leads, or whatever your goals are is fine, but you need to have some goals in place to make sure that you're tracking the number of leads, and to see if your efforts are actually paying off. So then there's no plan when a customer contacts. So, it's really easy to say, well, as soon as they call me, I'm just gonna answer their questions, and I'm gonna try to go through the process. But in sales, we've had this hard line that we've said, always be closing. And so the idea of that is that you're trying to always close a sale, yes, but the idea behind it is that you're having it in your mindset the next step. And so when a customer calls or they email you, what are the steps that you want that customer to go through to make sure that you've answered all their questions, you've met their needs, you've given them all the information they need, you're bringing them down the path to actually close a sale or work through that process, right? If you don't have that plan in place, there's no clear cut plan, you're going to end up finding that you're going to have a lot of things that just don't go the way that you anticipated. And you're not going to see a lot of great success maybe in the sales process because it becomes different for everyone. And then when you grow, you're going to have a really difficult time training other salespeople because your plan hasn't been defined. So having a plan in place for when a customer contacts you is really important for growth. No system in place to manage leads and keep you accountable. So this one was definitely me. I'm typically in my own mind really good at following up with people. I have, my own process in place where, they email and I go through the process and then I follow up, and I'm managing my leads. But what I noticed over time was that as I got busy, a lot of those leads actually fell off because there's like a sweet spot in the amount of time once you send an estimate or once you engage with a client that that they want to be responded to within X amount of time to make sure that they feel like they're being looked after, right? If for example, if you send an estimate out and you don't get back to the client to see if they got the estimate in a couple weeks, there's probably a good chance that you're not going to get that lead. I found that when I'm responding within a day or so and asking, hey, did you get that estimate? I want to make sure that you had any questions. I'd love to walk through that proposal with you to make sure that you understand it all. I had way higher success rate. But I wasn't able to do that when I got busy because I had too many leads to follow up. So the ones that were kind of top of mind, I would follow up with, but the ones that weren't as vocal, they kind of fell off and I lost those projects. So with a system, it can actually manage some of those things for you. So making sure that you have some sort of system in place to keep you accountable of all the leads, to make sure you're not dropping them, to make sure they're being looked after in the appropriate amount of time is going to save you tons of time, effort, and allow you to win more contracts. The other mistake that a lot of businesses make is assuming that if they don't respond, they're not interested. That is not the case at all. A lot of times it takes people a certain amount of time for them to go through your estimate. It also takes them time to comprehend everything. If they're comparing other companies' estimates to yours, they got to do all that research. So you have to give time for that to happen, but you also want to make sure that your estimate has been received. So there's been a number of times where we sent an estimate out and they didn't respond, and I didn't respond because I just thought they weren't interested. And then when I followed up down the road, I found out they actually were interested. They just never got my estimate right off the bat. So if I didn't respond, they wouldn't have actually even known that I sent the estimate. So we've had that happen a couple of times where the customer actually never even received the estimate, and I'm just assuming that they didn't want to go with us or they weren't interested anymore. So if they don't respond, it doesn't mean they're not interested. You need to put the work in to respond to those people. So what is a CRM? So a CRM is basically a customer relationship management system. It's a strategy companies use to track customer relationships from pre to post sale. A CRM system is software that stores information on a client and prospect and interacts with your employees and everything else you're doing. There's marketing and sales touch points, which include email, phone, website, live chat, social media. And those items are all tracked in the CRM, which gives you great data and being able to understand how everything is communicating with your team and your customers. So a great example of that is everything that happens in our company when something comes in, we're sending any communication out to a customer, it's all tracked. So we can see every email that is sent from every employee. We can see every phone call, every attachment, every meeting that was booked, every chat conversation. It's all tracked. Everything on social media, it's all tracked under that customer profile. So when we want to know what interactions this customer has had with our company, we can pull that up and we can see every interaction that has happened across the board with any one of our team members, with any client or customer that has dealt with us. So that's all tracked. So then we have a great understanding of if there's a problem or if there's a win, what items worked well and what items didn't. So then we can navigate that effectively and understand that. So someone just asked, how do you track phone calls? So I'll get to that. There is a lot of the CRMs have phone system integration built right in. So a great example is when they call us, it actually pulls up our CRM and says, here's the person that's calling. It opens up their account. It lets us know that this is this person. And then I have the ability to actually record that conversation and log it. I can then actually, even after that, create a task or a follow-up so that it can remind me to do an action if I was, needed to do something for that customer, for example. I can assign that to someone else in our company to take care of that, or I can handle it. I can even set a follow-up to remind me to go back and follow up with that customer. So that is all tracked, and you get integration, especially with voice over IP. There's a lot of integrations now with that type of technology for phone systems. Well, it will actually completely integrate with your CRM. You can make calls out, it will track it and everything. So I'll get to that, and I'll show you a little bit more about how that works as we go farther on. So a lot of people think, CRMs cost me so much money. So CRMs do cost money. That is true. And some of them are pricey. But when in reality, when you consider the cost and the benefit of them, they will actually probably save you a ton of money over the course of a year. So a great example is a typical salesperson on average will spend about 2 hours a day putting data into a CRM. So they're putting emails in, they're logging events, they're doing a whole bunch of other things to keep your database up to par. And to make sure that if you want to do any marketing, all that data is accurate, so you actually have the right tools. So on average, it's about 2 hours a day. So if you typically bill $90 an hour like we do, and then that means around 2 hours a day, you're roughly going to be around $43,000 a year, which you can't bill, because typically you don't bill a client for your internal CRM work, right? That's not work for them. That's for you to manage your business. So if that can save you $43,000 a year times per salesperson, you're going to save a lot of money over the course of a year by investing into a CRM. Plus, a lot of your clients are going to think you're phenomenal rock stars because you know everything about them and you can help them and you understand the complete picture. So also from a customer service aspect, you're looking amazing because now you have all the data here, you're following up properly. Some of the things are automated, which is saving you time. And so I'll go through some of those other things which saved me a lot of time and will help with that. So just reading the question here. For me, a CRM is a new concept. As a self-employed person, does that mean I put every single detail of every single interaction I have with these leads? Isn't that quite time consuming? You are absolutely right. If you are going to manually do this, like I just mentioned here in the slide, it is very time consuming. With the CRMs though, there's actually a lot of tools where it will integrate and capture all that data for you automatically. So it's not that you necessarily have to do all this data entry all the time. That's what we're trying to avoid. We want to make this as automated as possible to save you time, because I know for myself, if you're a business owner and you're wearing multiple hats, so maybe you're doing sales, you're doing the marketing, you're managing your team, you're doing all the product creation, all that, you have time is really valuable to you. And so if you can save a lot of times and save a lot of time and automate a lot of your process, you're going to actually do really well. It's also going to relieve a lot of stress off you because it can do a lot of this work for you automatically and keep you up to date. So I'll go through some of those ways of how it can save you time and be more of a benefit for you and do some of that process automatically. So if you don't want to enter in the data, you know what, you definitely want a CRM, and you want one that's going to be able to go through that process for you and make it easy. So again, a CRM is a tool that allows you to help manage your business, sell, market to customers. So one of the things that is important to understand is that not all your customers are identical. So there's specific buying personas, which we call them, that allow you to identify a customer uniquely. So if I break it up and make it a little more simplistic, if you look at someone who's a baby boomer versus a millennial, you're probably going to communicate to them totally different. They're going to have different needs and wants. And if we tie them to specific business or industry, and they're buying a product for that business or industry, their needs or wants, the way they communicate, how they want to receive information, what type of information they want to receive, how they process data, how they process information is going to be totally different. So you can't necessarily communicate to them in the same way that you would communicate with everyone. So for example, if you're going to be selling an iPhone to a baby boomer, you're probably going to have different needs and wants than someone who's a millennial. There's going to be the imagery that you use, the text that you use, the call to action, the advantages of what it can do are going to be totally different. Even though the phone does the exact same thing, the way you present it or pitch it is going to be different. So when people come to your website, as an example, you want your content to be as targeted as possible to those users, because you'll have a much better chance of selling to them and them liking your product if you can be more targeted. So that same line of thinking goes through every other process: how you email them when they request a quote, your communication back to them, how you would talk to them on the phone, or maybe you're going to use text messaging because they're a younger demographic. So the same type of tools or communication needs to adapt to whoever that user is. So buying personas are becoming more and more popular because now you're actually have the ability to target those individuals. So how this relates to a CRM is the CRM can detect a lot of this information, and some of the tools that integrate with the CRM will allow you to be able to understand who this person is, what industry they're in, how they like to receive communication, what they're, how you should communicate to them, and it gives you this information. So I'm going to jump over and give you kind of a live demo of that. So I've used this tool a fair bit in the past. I'm going to see here. Okay, I'm going to change my view for you. And okay, so we're going to pick on Walter here. I think everyone can see, if you can see my browser here, maybe just someone type yes, we can see it, because I can't see you. So that would be helpful for me to know that you're good. So if you can see my browser, awesome, that is great. Okay, so I'm going to pick on Walter here. I've known Walter for a number of years, our mayor here in St. Catharines. Walter used to be one of our clients way back, and so I've known Walter for a number of years, and so I'm going to use him as a demo today. So if I wanted to sell Walter a product, it would be good for me to understand how I should communicate with Walter. It would be good for me to understand his personality. It would probably be beneficial for me to understand, the way I should communicate to him. Maybe he doesn't like jokes, maybe he does, and so understanding that is valuable, because when you're selling, you want to be able to communicate properly. I don't want to, turn that person right off before I've even had the opportunity to sell with them. So in a retail environment, really good salespeople, when you walk into a store, their whole objective is to build rapport with the user. So they find out something that's common, they try to gain their trust, they do that, right? So if you've ever walked into a car dealership, or maybe Best Buy or Future Shop, anyone who's on commission, their whole job was to try to build rapport with you and try to make you feel comfortable, understand your needs and your wants, and then try to deliver a solution that fits, right? And so the same type of experience needs to happen online. And so if our communication is not tailored to a specific user, we're going to find that we're not going to be very successful. So this tool here that I'm going to show you today will actually pull up Walter's profile. And how it does is it analyzes your social media footprint. So if your customers have a social media footprint, they're on social media, for example, we can actually tell their personality and how they like to be communicated with. So there's this little tool here on the right-hand side that says view personality. So I click on this here, and it's going to pull up Walter's whole personality. So as we can see on the right here, it says that, Walter, a strong motivator, often explores many new ideas and can easily handle frequent change. So then if I want to know how I would communicate with Walter, it gives me some more information here. There's more information about him, the things that he likes. If I'm trying to reduce or avoid structure, bureaucracy, we've seen that as what Walter's already done in St. Catharines. There's a bunch of information that's going to grab right away. So if I wanted to send Walter an email on a product, say I want to do something, I could click this little button here, and it says, give me an email template for Walter. So in my subject, it says, here's what I should do if I want to win Walter's trust and have a great email correspondence with him. In my body of my email, here's what I should do. Some of the call to actions. If I want to try to get a meeting with Walter, give me a template that I should use to, communicate with Walter. So what it actually does is it grabs your personality, Walter's personality, and tries to work them together to give you the best form of communication. So you can do this with anyone who's on LinkedIn, and we'll tell you how to do it. If I want to do an investor pitch, what I should do. So it actually pulls up their whole profile, their personality, so then you have a better chance of actually communicating with them. So I've really liked this tool because now I can use this as a template with anyone who has a similar profile or personality as Walter. So anyone that is in this profile here, I can actually grab that and change that and use that in my marketing efforts. So that's how you would use that. So that would then tie into some of the other places in HubSpot where that's the platform we're going to be talking about today as a CRM, where I can actually pull that data in. So I'm going to jump back over here to our other one. Awesome. All right. So you should be seeing that one now. So buyer personas. So it's important to be able to have the tools that you can grab, and then obviously be able to change your content to match those users specifically. So when we are going through this, buyer persona is key. So what are the main benefits of a CRM? So a CRM is going to organize all your leads, customer information in one place, automate a lot of your data entry. CRM software makes it easier for you to run sales process smoothly. So we'll go through, I'll give you some examples of how it does that in a minute. The other thing it does is it gives you sales reporting. So not just understanding how many leads you have, but understanding where all your leads are at. So, this one is in the quoting stage. This lead is on the quote has been sent. I'm waiting for follow-up. This one has a verbal approval. This one needs an estimate created. So understanding where all your deals are. And then it also will allow you to track if you've won a deal or if you've lost a deal. And if you've lost a deal, why did you lose that deal? Understanding, asking the customer, okay, was it a price? Was it a process? And going through that whole thing. Someone just asked here, what tool did you use for the buyer persona? So the buyer persona, like drafting a buyer persona, the one that I just showed you that gave you all the, I believe all the stats on what that user is and who they are. That one is called Crystal Knows. So it's an add-on that you can go to that website called Crystal Knows, and you can actually sign up for that, and it will actually pull that information as you go through the process, so you can understand how those users respond and relate to things. Does the CRM, another question here, does the CRM that is being demonstrated work the same way across various social media platforms? It can, but it has the most effectiveness on LinkedIn. Typically because LinkedIn is more business to business. When you get into things like Facebook, a lot of people are posting what they ate for breakfast or other things like that, which isn't really relevant in building out a profile. You can gain some information from it, but it's not the same type of data. So I have found that LinkedIn works the best. So going through here, so sales reporting, tracking all your sales, that sort of thing. Accurate sales forecasting, because everything is being pulled into the CRM. It can actually tell you what it anticipates, and for you to be able to close how many deals this month or this week, or and that sort of thing. So how the CRM works is it starts understanding your patterns of your close rates, how often you close, when a client goes through the different stages, what the likelihood is for it to close once they reach the stage, and actually starts building out a report for you. Customer segmentation. So this one is good because with a CRM, you do a lot of things from a marketing standpoint. You can segment people based on location, based on deal size, based on regions, or maybe by products they've purchased in the past, where they came from. And so you can build all of these different marketing segmentation lists so that you can then in turn do different types of marketing. So a great example would be if someone bought business cards from us, I could put in the CRM that they bought business cards. And then, in 3 months, I could have it automatically send another email out to that client and say, hey, 3 months ago, you bought business cards from us and want to see how it's going, want to see if you need to restock those business cards, if you need us to order another set for you. Those are types of things, because the data is in the CRM, that could happen automatically and send out emails on your behalf without you even having to do anything, just because it knows that data and you've set it up to be automated. Scaling a sales process. So, one of the most difficult things that you're trying to do is understand customer behavior. And that's really difficult if you're the only one on the team that knows anything about the sales process. So when you're scaling your sales process, you're probably going to find that things are going to change over time as you grow. The processes, the procedures, the methods that you put in place at the beginning are going to change over time. So when you have new people coming on board, you also want to be able to translate that information that you've learned to them. So developing a complete sales process, understanding what's working, being able to effectively deliver it out. CRM can help you do all those things because it will manage all those steps in the sales process for you. So the one that I want to show you today and talk about is HubSpot. I've put a link here right on the page that if you want a free version of it, sign up. We'll help you set it up. So I'll do that for free for you. If you go to the website here and this address on the page and you fill out that link, I'll actually go and help set it up for you. I can tell you how to set it up on your website. So it's grabbing some of that data, kind of give you a little bit of a demo so you can go through the process. And I'll do that for you at no charge for everyone who's here today, if that's something that you're interested in, because I really believe that CRMs have the ability to change your business if you use them properly. If you actually trust what they're actually saying and you go through the process and you're willing to learn and grow, it can save you a lot of time and energy. So here it is here, www.spcan.com/CRM. If you go there, like I said, I'll help you set up an account. And I'm going to go through some of the things that type of account we're going to focus on today will benefit you, how it will benefit you, some of the tools that it can use. And I'll go through all that right now. There's a lot of CRMs out there. There's Zoho, there's HubSpot, which we're talking about today. There's Salesforce. There's tons of them out there. I personally like HubSpot the best because of all the integrations that it does. A lot of them fall short because they're really good at one aspect, but they don't touch on the other things. HubSpot, in my opinion, it has everything built in. So as you grow, you can just unlock different portions of that CRM to meet your needs. So that's why I like it so much. And one question here is, if you use QuickBooks for billing, would it be smart to use a system that links to it? Absolutely, yes. And HubSpot links to that. There's actually a whole integration with thousands of programs that integrate it. Asana, yes, it does connect to Asana as well. Asana is more of a project management system. I wouldn't necessarily consider it to be a complete CRM because of everything else that I'm going to talk about today. So contacts and companies. So this is where it really gets interesting. So if you have a form on your website, for example, HubSpot will allow you to put this form on there and it will automatically start grabbing the data as people fill it in. So one of the questions was earlier is, do I have to enter all this data in? The answer is no. Right off the bat, you can put code on your website that will grab this information and store it into the CRM. With the CRM, it's going to open up a lot more possibilities. So all the information you want to collect or know about a client, you can have on the CRM panel. So it can actually say every meeting that you've had. So you'll see here in the top right-hand corner, we're looking at activities, notes, emails, calls, tasks. All that is tracked from everyone. So when someone actually comes to our website, I can actually see how many pages they looked at, what pages they were on, if they came from a Facebook ad or a Google ad, or they found us on, say, Google search, for example. I can see when they filled out a form, how many pages it took for them before they filled out a form. I can actually see which ad specifically they clicked on if they came from an ad. Then I can actually then turn around and say these ads actually brought these customers, instead of just understanding that it's 10 ads that we did, and I know they get clicks and views, but I don't know which ad does what. I can actually then understand the data and say these contacts actually came from this specific ad. When I'm following up, all this communication is stored. So any attachments that are sent. The really neat thing though is that when you send an email out, so if I send you an email, and this is where it becomes really great for the sales process. If I send an email to you, I'm going to know right away when you open it. So the moment you get my email and you open it, a notification is popping up on my phone and saying, hey, they're looking at your email right now. The moment you click on the estimate that we send you, I'm going to know that you're looking at my estimate right now. If you go back and look at it, I'm going to know that you looked at it again. So every time you're looking at our content or information, we're being notified that this is happening right now. So then you can put sales triggers in place to say, okay, when the customer opens this, send this email out within 10 minutes, because we know that the best chance to get a response from them is when they're actually looking at your content, because they're in that framework of mind. So you can actually have automated systems in place that will actually send out that email right at that specific moment. So that is a great tool that you can use from your marketing standpoint, or even your follow-up. So everything is tracked about companies and that sort of thing. So this, it gets all stored, it's all saved online. You can access it from your phone, your computer, all that information's there. Everything you need to know about the customer, where they came from, all that data is stored automatically for you. The next thing that's really neat is if you're a business that sells to other businesses, so B2B, there's some information that can be tracked without a user ever doing anything. So just by them coming to the website, for example, we can track what company came. So I can actually see that, hypothetically, Brock University went to our website today. They looked at 5 pages. Here's their Facebook address. Here's their linked address. Here's their physical address. Here's their phone number. Here's how many employees they employ. Here's their revenue they generate per year. All that data is tracked and sent to us right away. So there's no privacy issues there because this is a company. Now, it doesn't do that for users individually because that would be a privacy issue. It does that only for companies. So if you're trying to sell to another company, you'll have information. So if you're a really aggressive sales team and you see that Brock University came to your website, then you can say, okay, maybe you're a photocopier company and you're saying, okay, we want them to get a new photocopier. Maybe you tell your sales guy, when they come to the website, I want you to reach out to them. Obviously, they were looking at our product today. Someone was on the website. See if you can do a cold call and reach out to them. We have their information. They were on our website looking at the products today. So it's probably a good opportunity for us to try to reach out to them if they don't reach out to us. So that's how the prospect tool works, and that's available for free. That data is already available that you can just grab anytime. So a lot of the tools I'm going to show you today, some of them are actually free with the CRM. You don't even have to pay for it. So that's why I'm saying if you're not using a CRM, I would really highly recommend you grab a hold of that, because some of the stuff that you can grab and work through your business and help is free. So deal management, this is another great one. So this is what we call a pipeline. So a pipeline is basically a deal goes from this stage all the way through the different steps, all the way to the end. So that pipeline means that every deal is in a different stage. So you're going to have a lot of deals that start off at the beginning, and then you go through the estimating process. Maybe you have to book a meeting with them, go through all that, make an estimate, get them to sign off and do that. So that goes through a series of different stages. So what the CRM does is it keeps every deal that you have for every estimate that's out there in a specific stage. So when you log in the morning, you can see every deal you have, and it will tell you where every deal is at. This one is in, the scoping section. This one's in the estimate creation section. So you can keep track of every deal and understand, here's all the deals I have going. If you start putting values in to how much that deal is worth, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, it starts to calculate how much money you have sitting in this section. So under leads, estimates sent, maybe you have $4,000 sitting there that if they sign, you'll have 4,000. So based on the information of it, starts tracking how often you close the deals, how many deals you typically close. It can start to forecast that. It assumes that you will then close this amount of deals, which will give you this amount of profit in this amount of days. So then you can actually put goals in place to track how effective you're doing. You'll actually track all the steps and say, okay, you seem to do really well in the quoting stage, but you're not doing so well in the estimate follow-up stage. It will start to pinpoint the areas where you're not doing well in your sales process for you to help you align and strategically change some of those areas. So it keeps you accountable and tracks all that data for you. Templates, sequences, and snippets. This one is great because if you're busy, this one just kind of makes everything work smoothly. So a sequence is basically a chain that happens. So a great example is when someone fills out a form on our website, they request a quote. I can't give them a quote unless I have a meeting with them, because I don't really know what they need. I don't know what all the different features would be or anything. So I need to book a meeting with them. So the hardest task that I have off the beginning is trying to get that customer to book a meeting. So what I have in place is, as soon as that someone fills out a form, a sequence goes out. And the whole job of this sequence is to try to get the customer to book a meeting with me. So what it does is it sends an email out saying, hi, thanks for contacting us. We'd love to take the opportunity to book a time with you. If you are interested, here's a link to my calendar and you can book your own time. I'd be happy to go through the process with you, figure out your needs and wants, and then give you a really detailed estimate. So that's email number one that goes out automatically. If the customer responds and books a meeting or responds to me specifically, it stops the sequence. If they don't respond, it then sends an email out the next day. Hey, just wanted to see if my email got lost. You contacted us yesterday. Want to make sure that we can set up a time to meet with you. If they don't respond, it then notifies me, creates a task, say, Joe, you need to reach out to this person by phone because email's not working. If they do respond, stops the sequence and sends me some information about them, or it's already created a calendar request, booked a meeting for me in my Outlook. So it does it all for me. So the whole process there is automated. I haven't done a thing yet. But because the CRM is doing it, it can also personalize it. So our clients actually think this is 100% personalized to them. And really, it's just an automated system that's working, saving us time and directing all the communication and trying to get that customer to book the first step, which is to get a meeting with us. And so in that process, all those different emails that automatically would go out over a course of X amount of days are all tracked as well. So I can see the effectiveness of every email. So then I can understand email number 2 doesn't seem to perform well. Maybe I need to change that email, change it up and put a new email in place and test it. So those templates and sequences can be used across the board in all types of communication. Even when you send an estimate out, maybe you want to follow up with that customer to make sure they got their estimate. You can put a sequence in place that will automatically follow up with the customer to make sure they got their estimate, to see if they have any questions, and go through that process with them. So a snippet is very similar. It kind of just takes little bits of information that you can have shortcuts to and puts it in there. So as you change a snippet, it works all the way through everyone on your team so that you can use that same information. If you update it, everyone has this same shortcut. So that's kind of how those things work, and we could explore those more down the road. Someone says this kind of a question here. This kind of tracking is great for sales, but seems creepy. It can be a little creepy, but you know what? It's all information that's already out there. It's all information that lives on the internet already. And there's things in place that are helping users. If they don't want that information to be seen, it won't be seen. The information that we're tracking, though, is not necessarily information that is really sensitive. It's information that has already been submitted to our company, and we're kind of putting it all in one spot so we have it be able to access it easily. The templates and sequences, they just help businesses work better. They help us go through a process and understanding that. So catering to our clients, catering to our customers, using different templates or sequences based on personalities or profiles will just help you get better success. And it will help your customer because you're giving them data that's relevant to them rather than again getting information that it's not relevant to them or they don't want. So the other thing that this one has saved me a ton of time, and this is booking meetings. So the ability to book a meeting with HubSpot, it actually connects with your Outlook calendar, sees if you have any time available. You can set your own parameters of when you want to book meetings or not. And then when you do that, it will actually connect and give that information to clients to book a time with you. So on our website, when I sent that email out, for example, clients can go and book their own time. It will actually integrate with my Outlook calendar. So if I already have a meeting booked, you can't book a meeting at that time. This has saved me tons of time on its own because I used to always go back and forth. Hey, are you able to meet at 3 o'clock? No, how's 4 o'clock? Oh, sorry, can't do 4 o'clock. I already have a meeting. And then you keep going back and forth on this chain trying to book a time when they could have just picked a time on your calendar that they know is available that works for them. So this is another tool in the CRM where it connects that communication and ties it all together for you. So you can save a lot of time just by doing meeting requests and having a sophisticated system that's already designed for you. Calling. So someone asked about calling. So with HubSpot, you can actually make calls out from HubSpot, and that system takes care of it all. So you can actually hit the call button under the user profile. It will start dialing out from your computer or your phone and call the customer. Then it will actually pull up a notes section where you can take notes during the call, and you can record the call. You should tell the customer though, hey, do I have permission to just record this call? Want to make sure that I have all the information correct so I can go back and review it. So get their permission, but you can record the call. It will store that as a WAV file in there. If you have someone maybe in your company that would like to transcribe the call and take notes from it, you could forward off the message to them. They could go and listen to that and then create a whole note section for you. But that is all through the CRM again, where it allows you to call, allows you to do emails, tracks everything for you, keeps all your communication in one spot. Conversations. So this is another great tool where we have like Facebook chat, we have website chats, we have bots. All that communication for a client can then be pulled under one umbrella. So again, under that user profile, if they've had, a Facebook chat with you, if they've were on social media, if they have an email and they've connected you with that way, all of those types of communication come under the conversation tool in that customer's profile. So now all the communication across your whole company, no matter what you've had with this user, is tied under one spot. So you have complete knowledge of all the different forms of communication that has happened, and you can effectively manage those requests that come in from customers. You can also build out that live chat or a chat bot to help navigate some of the questions that customers have. Documents, this one's really interesting. So a lot of people ask, for example, hey, can we get the slides after the end of the presentation? Yes, we will give you the slides at the end of the presentation. But just so you understand, when you get the slides from us, it's going to open up this document tool because our slides reside on our CRM. So what that allows us to do is it tells us how many people have looked at the slides. It will also tell me which people looked at the slides. It will then tell me how long you spent looking at each page of the slide. So then I can understand, wow, okay, this page of our slide seemed to get the most amount of attention. I want to be able to maybe make sure that that's a focus for the next CRM session we do, that everyone liked this page of the slide. They really took time to look at it. So when you send documents out, it's helpful you be able to understand how your users are actually engaging with your documentation. You may think you have this amazing document that no one ever looks at, or you may have thought that slide 3 was awesome, but everyone looks at slide 12. So you want to be able to understand how that content works with the users that you're sending it to. So when you put it into a CRM, it will track everything about that slide presentation for you. So then it gives you that data, so then you can make better informed decisions on how you want to adjust that content and navigate that process in creating new slides for the future. So all that information is stored for you, and you can then track it. Email marketing, you can do all your email marketing through your CRM and then have this complete picture again. So I think you're starting to maybe understand that the CRM is more than just, do I put my data in there? It's managing everything for you. It can manage your website, it can manage your email marketing, it can manage your Google ads, your Facebook ads, your Instagram ads, your LinkedIn ads. It can do your email marketing, it can do your social media. It brings everything under one umbrella. So when you have questions of how well your online presence is doing, or the effectiveness of any of your marketing campaigns or communication from your team members, your tickets, your service requests, any of those things, that's all available. It will even go and create some beautiful reports for you to give you a breakdown of how everything is performing. So email marketing, you can send your email blasts out there to specific users. You can have it automated based on what happens as well, what users do, and give you a complete picture of how that email communication is working across the board. It will track open rates, click-through rates, if they skimmed the email, if they've read it entirely, what links they clicked on, where they clicked on it from. All that information is stored and tracked, so you know how to communicate better with your customers. HubSpot ads. So this is another feature that I really like. The HubSpot brings all the complication of doing a lot of ads under one place and makes it really streamlined. So if you've never set up ads before, this is a great way to start the process. It will go through, create ads, give you the data, walk you through the process of creating ads. It will even allow you to understand, like I said before, the return on investment. So it'll actually tell you these specific customers who filled out a form on your website came from this ad. So this ad has got you these customers. So it's working well or not working well. It will actually tell you some of those things so you can actually make better decisions if you want to put more money into it or if you want to cancel it. So depending on how you're doing your ads, HubSpot is a great way to start that process out. Dashboards and reporting. So this is another tool that comes with it, gives you all the reports. So it can create beautiful PDF reports, breakdown. You can log into to your HubSpot every day and see how you're doing from a reporting standpoint, understand what works, what doesn't work, and keep you in the loop. That, as business owners, we want to make sure that whatever we're doing is working. We don't like being in the dark, having no clue. So the whole reporting and dashboard aspect is great for you to understand what you need to change and what's working. The mobile app is another great tool that you can use. So one of the features in the mobile app is a business card scanner. So obviously we're not doing a whole lot of business scanning right now because of COVID, but when you go to trade shows, for example, you can actually take a picture of the business card. It will grab all that data, put it directly into your CRM. So you can take all that information, it stores it automatically for you. It will keep connected with all your deals. If you're on the road and you're traveling, you'll have your whole CRM, a lot of the aspects and tools right on your phone, so you can manage and get that information at your fingertips. So that's kind of CRMs in a nutshell, and kind of